I think that Genshin Impact is actually dying now, which is kind of crazy. Like, by the time I play it, it'll be dead.
If you play or don't play Genshin Impact, you probably are aware of the current drama going in the community. People think that players are upset because of the lack of the rewards, but it's far deeper than that, and people are losing hope. Today, we are exposing Genshin Impact.
I have kind of like a weird hot take. I think that gacha games inherently have a shelf life. It's like just by the nature of the way that they exist, I think that they have a shelf life.
My excitement is next to zero.
Now to start off, I believe that Genshin is one of the best games ever made. It's a very good game. The gameplay is good, the lore is better than most stories seen in modern games, and the...
Can you play as this guy? If you can play as this guy, I'll start playing the game. No? Okay.
list goes on, but when players reached the end game, they started noticing its flaws. And this is our first point. People asked for the end game and hardcore content. When you reach the end game in Genshin Impact, the game becomes too easy. It doesn't matter if you spend money on the game or not. The only mode that you can try your characters on is called the Spiral Abyss, which is mostly also easy. While it will take months to beat the Spiral Abyss as a new player, but soon after beating it, it will never fulfill the need of seeing the full potential of your characters again. To give you an example,
like, the alternative for that is that in Tower of Fantasy, they had a mode called the Bygone Phantasm, and it just infinitely scaled. And personally, I find more fulfillment in being able to speedrun easy content than hit a wall at infinitely scaling content. Like, this is, again, like, this is my philosophy as a player. Like, I got a lot more out of, for example, being able to speedrun gold challenge modes in Mists of Pandaria than pushing Mythic Plus keys. I find the gameplay to be more interesting and more fun. I get also, like, because I like the idea of mastery and beating content, and I feel like psychologically, I never beat content that infinitely scales.
there is a character named Eula. This character isn't overpowered. She is just a good character. In short, the character needs to do some weaker attacks on the enemy to gain stacks, to do a special attack with a huge chunk of damage. Why am I telling you this? It's because a lot of people, when they wanna see the big chunk of damage, they find themselves killing the boss already with the weaker attacks before the ultimate ability explodes, which makes people ask, why did we even get a 5-star character? And why do we spend weeks or even months in building them, and we can just beat the game with 4 stars only? And people don't want to play 4 stars characters because the 5 stars are just more fun. And it's been years where content
Oh god.
creators and players are asking for endgame content, but we never seen any response from Hoyoverse for a reason that we will talk about later. Because even if this is the main problem of the game, there are still other huge problems. Which brings us to the next points, the lack of quality of life changes. A lot of things that can be changed in the game and make it better aren't being implemented. But to give credit to Hoyoverse from...
You have to keep in mind that a lot of quality of life measures, I don't know about Genshin Impact because I haven't played it, and I don't know like all the nuances, but many games have quality of life measures that are held back in order to make using the pay for convenience measures in the game more compelling. So, like, for example, that's why a lot of games don't have like rested bonuses and stuff like that. And like, you know, Honkai Star Rail, that's why they got a lot of credit for actually having rested bonuses and giving people these features, because those features obviously make it to where you are less incentivized to use the store.
The launch of Fontaine, till now we were given quality of life changes that people asked for every patch, but some of them also prove that they never listen to the community because they add some quality of life changes that no one asked for that prove that they are not listening to us. For example, people wanted artifact loadouts, which makes you change the character gear in just one click.
Yeah,
a lot of games have this, and it's just a normal thing. Not with Hoyoverse. This feature isn't added even after 3.5 years.
That's really weird. Yeah, I feel like a lot of games have loadouts now.
of years of people asking for it. While in other games like Tower of Fantasy, this feature has been added in 4 months after the game was launched. Imagine.
That's sad. If you're using Tower of Fantasy as being like, oh yeah, this is better than Genshin. Holy fuck.
Tower of Fantasy had a very bad launch. A lot of people didn't like it, but the game kept improving by a whole lot after every patch, adding so many things that people wanted. And it's not only TOF. The main game that made people more upset is Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah.
A game from the same developers of Genshin Impact. The game had almost every quality of life change we asked for, and even a lot of end-game content being added every 2 patches. Yet Genshin still didn't catch up to them after almost a year of the launch of Honkai Star Rail. Even so,
I think that this is all a massive psychological ploy for them to understand how much they can abuse players and what will cause players to spend more money. They're being really nice to players in Honkai Star Rail, and they're being really abusive to them in Genshin. And this is going to help them bracket in and calibrate how much abuse players want to have but say they don't want in Zenless Zone Zero. And that's why, you know, that's why they're making this new game. The new game will be in the middle of these 2 games because it will be the perfect synergy between the abuse of Genshin and the rewards of Honkai Star Rail.
Like
basically everybody playing these games is like a guinea pig or like a rat in an experiment.
Very popular language in the game, which is a drama that wasn't talked about in the West. Because before there was a huge drama that happened in North Africa and the Middle East. Because a lot of Arab players asked for adding the Arabic language. And there is a huge amount of people that I see every day asking for the same thing. And I have some data of the fraction of the amount of people that spend money on the game there. I can tell you that people there are spending so much money on the game.
So people in the Middle East are spending a lot of money on bullshit? I would have never predicted that. Never heard of that. They do that, huh? That's crazy. Wow.
So why won't they do anything about it if it makes more people play it there?
Yeah.
Other than that, people kept waiting and still having hope that the game changes until version 1.6 in Honkai Star Rail came in, where Honkai Star Rail gives a free 5-star character for their players, which brings us to our third point, the lack of the rewards. Genshin has been like that from the start. While implementing a good gacha system, they didn't do anything more than that. And when it came to, for example, the anniversary rewards, they just gave a temple to the players, which made them rage and boycott the game and made the company actually give another temple for them. And for some reason,
2 of them. Just give him another one, fine.
people stopped complaining after this simple compensation.
Oh my
and when
god.
Star Rail was launched, players were getting the temple after temple after temple every single patch. And they also gave them an overpowered...
I cannot believe the level of baiting that they do in these cinematics, man.
And when Star Rail was launched, players
like, this is a crazy level of baiting. Oh my god.
Getting the temple after temple after temple every single patch. And they also gave them an overpowered unit for free, which made everybody question the reasoning behind this. Some thought it's an experiment, and some of them thought it's a problem in the leadership of Genshin, which is probably true, because once one of the Honkai Impact leaders moved to Genshin, Honkai Impact 3rd started getting better, and it's still getting better to this day, while Genshin never had something really new, which is kind of a theory. Nothing is proved yet for this, but it makes sense, to be honest. And all of these patches without change made Genshin too predictable, which is our next point.
This is what's happened with WoW, I think, with like new expansions, is because WoW is so much of like a solved game. Like, I remember Ian was like talking at BlizzCon or something, and he was like, don't worry, guys, like, you don't have to worry. Your new expansion will have, you know, 8 new dungeons, you know, 4 new zones and 1 new raid. And it's like, that's why I'm worried. Like, I mean, goddamn. It's just like, it feels very formulaic. And I don't know if Genshin has gotten to this point yet. I'm not sure. But that's the way that I felt about, it's the way that I felt about WoW. Is the formula just becomes evident, obvious.
by predictable is that I can really predict what we will get in every single patch. Because yes, Genshin is adding something in every patch, and we actually know when we will get a filler patch, and we can predict when we will get a Dane sleeve story, which is the most important and best story that we get one patch a year.
Jesus, are you kidding me? Watch.
Which is the most important and best story that we get one patch
Oh my god. That's worse than a VTuber.
year. So the game doesn't have the element of surprise, unlike other games like Honkai Star Rail. We do not know what will happen in 2.1, and I said earlier that there was a reason behind Hoyoverse not responding. Of course, we don't know the main reason, but one of the reasons is the Genshin community itself. A lot of people in this community were just defending Hoyoverse, just because the other elements of the game are good, without acknowledging that the other players want these changes to make the game better, which made the community and the content creators divided. When you play Genshin, you have to pick a side. Until 4.4 came out, and the devs announced that they will give 3 whole polls as a gratitude for playing the game for 3 whole years. And
I think that really what happens is that, and this is why I think like gacha players are so defensive about their games, is because they don't want their game to go end of service. End of service is whenever the game doesn't work anymore. Like you can't log into the game, the servers are shut down. It's effectively Ragnarok. It's Ragnarok for all of your anime waifus. It's over. Everybody is dead. There's no coming back. The story is over. The light is out. And, you know, that's all, folks. That's it. And this happens to gacha games. It does. So a lot of gacha players that are, and I mean this word literally, invested into the game, think to themselves, oh my God, well, I don't want my game to get shit on. I don't want people to hate I don't want my game to lose popularity and be criticized, because if that happens, my $700 that I've spent on this game is going to mean nothing. Now, I would argue that it's always meant nothing, but that's not the way that they see it.
Chinese players didn't like it, and that started the latest drama that everyone knows of. But after all of this drama, the community found out that if we will always see people and content creators defending Hoyoverse, why even bother? And Hoyoverse itself is never listening, and the hope for the game is almost gone. In my opinion, I think that even if they start fixing the game now, it's kind of too late. While it's definitely a good thing, and I myself will get excited, but they will never get back the same feeling that we had for the game before. Which
I think that like really one factor, this is like, and I'm just speaking for myself, like there are so many Genshin characters now that it's hard to keep up with all of them. Whereas like with the first year or so of Genshin, it was easy to keep up with the characters and to know what was going on. But because the story has probably gotten really big, and there's so many people involved, the identity and like the cohesiveness of the game is really hard to maintain. And that's what I was saying before about how like gacha games have that type of shelf life, because I think that happens naturally in gacha games. And Star Rail isn't in that situation, but if it goes on for another 3 years, it will be. Now, I know some games don't have this. I'm not like, this is just how I feel about it. And I feel like, for example, almost all of the characters that they add into Genshin will probably in some way or another look pretty close to a character that already exists in Genshin, because they've gone through so many of them.
To the last points, Wuthering Waves. This is the last hope for everything. The devs of this game...
No, it's not. This game is going to be okay. But I think Project Mugen looks a lot more fulfilling and a lot more promising than Wuthering Waves. I played Wuthering Waves and the combat was great. But the truth is that I don't really think that it has the story and the character development enough to like really capture a gacha-based audience, because they really care about that stuff, and I don't think Wuthering Waves really hits that mark. Like, I think Project Mugen definitely has a lot more potential than Wuthering Waves does.
already showed how much they care and how much
They
they
completely
listen.
redid everything. I know that they did. I just don't know if it will be enough. Even now, like, and this is the new cinematic, right? Because I remember watching it myself. I'm just gonna go back.
Care and hope for everything. The devs of this,
Like, I just think that the character design for these characters is markedly below Hoyoverse by a pretty big degree. I think it's maybe it's like a 6 or a 7, whereas I think Project Mugen is like an 8 or like a 8.5, and I think like Genshin and Star Rail are like I think that they are the best.
game already showed how much they care and how much they listen, and if the game launches and people like it from the start, maybe it will finally be the reason of Hoyoverse to start improving their game, because I love Genshin Impact. Recently, one of my Twitch chatters dared me to fight the Raiden Shogun with the Electro team, which makes the fight way harder. I didn't even want to play Genshin at the time, and I had a blast. I had so much fun that I haven't felt in a long time from Genshin Impact. But do you think the game will change in the future, or did you lose hope? And that's how we exposed what
Well, I
happened.
think also like Genshin has an audience of people, and like the same as I think Overwatch does a massive disservice to its players by not having a casual non-PvP mode for the game. Because there's a lot of like Overwatch Andes that are like, they have too much anxiety to play PvP, and all of that potential audience just doesn't exist. So I don't think that Hoyoverse wants to make content that's like really challenging, because if they do that, then they change the way that their audience exists. They change the demographic of their audience. Like even Maw of Chaos, for example, in Star Rail isn't really that hard. Like I've seen plenty of videos of people like, you know, 2-cycling Maw of Chaos like completely free to play.
in Genshin
Swarms?
Impact. Thank you for watching. And
Swarm
I'll
is
leave
pretty
you to
hard,
Kafka.
yeah.
If you don't subscribe to Stewart, you're gonna lose every single 50 in your life. I'm gonna send you every chemical until you subscribe. Also check his latest video, you'll love it.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. They said that literally in an interview? Yeah, I think so. Wuthering Waves looks like it's from another company in comparison. No protagonist gender selection, generic characters. Well, I mean, unfortunately, the whole point of this video fails under the fact that the recent banner broke the sales record again. You're saying like the recent Genshin banner did? Is that true? That's crazy. Because I thought like, oh my god, you can look it up? That's nuts. Yeah, I thought that Fiorina character was like really, really popular. I don't even know what character they have out yet. What was the name of the MMO you played? Your character was a slave of a little girl. A Blue Protocol. That game will be coming out, I think, later on this year. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's not recent. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, I think that's really what the issue with a game like Genshin is that Genshin is a game that's made for kids that don't have any money. So, like, this is a game where, like, a lot of the people that play this game are kids. And because they're kids, they're not going to be like this dude here, like, he's probably like me. He's played video games a long time, and he's probably well into his 20s, you know? Like, he understands how video games work. He gets it. He can put things together, look up techniques and tricks, and figure shit out. Like, most people that play Genshin Impact aren't clearing Spiral Abyss. They're not clearing it because they're fucking stupid and they're garbage. So that's the reason why Hoyoverse doesn't make this content. It's because most of the people that play the game are stupid garbage kids that don't know how to play the fucking game. So why are you going to make a bunch of content to cater for the 27-year-olds that are playing this game and want to be able to make like skill guides and like show off how good they are? Why do that whenever you could just make more bullshit for the 12-year-old girls that are playing the game that don't even do Spiral Abyss because it gives them anxiety, and they have ADHD because they filled out a questionnaire on, you know, some fucking random website, and it said that they had some mental disorder. So now, you know, this has completely reformed the way that they see themselves as a person, and now they can't do Spiral Abyss. So generational trauma, yeah, they've invented these words that they have, and they don't even know what generational means. So that's the reason why they're not making content like this for Genshin Impact. It's because it's a casual game made for casuals. It's like for Diablo 4. Diablo 4 isn't made for people that want to clear Uber Elder. It's not made for people who want to get to 100 in solo self-found and PoE. It's made for casual landies that don't have that much time to play the game, and that's it. And it doesn't make it a bad game. Like, I'll give you a really good example of this. Go ahead and look at Gauntlet. Like the original Gauntlet, Gauntlet Legends, and Gauntlet 64 was Gauntlet Legends, I think, too. And then Gauntlet Dark Legacy. These games were super fucking brain-dead garbage games. There was basically no skill at all in the game. There was nothing that you could do. It was just you go around and you hit the guys until they're dead. And so the game was really fun, though, right? So, like, making a game hard doesn't necessarily make the game fun. Dark Legacy was amazing. It was incredible. Like, one of my core memories is playing the original Gauntlet. I'm not talking about Legends. I'm talking about the original one, Red Wizard Shot the Food. Because I was such a little kid, my mom needed to have a fucking chair, and she would pull it up so I could play it at Chuck E. Cheese whenever I was like 5 and 6 years old. I still remember where the machine used to be, man. And so, yes, I have such good memories from Gauntlet. It's sad that they just completely fucking gave up on the fucking genre. It was like a PlayStation 2 game. That was the last one they ever made. So, like, I love Gauntlet, and my point is that it's a great game, but it's not, that's me, not you, I apologize. It's not this super hard game. It's not this complicated game. It's not this game that you can't figure out. It's just a casual game. I think there's a lot of players that are upset because the potential for Genshin is there. Well, what they don't understand is that the potential for Genshin is for casual players. And whenever you pursue making your game, like creating hard modes for your game, what you end up doing is you end up alienating those casual players. That's the issue, is because they can't complete the content anymore, and now they're not having fun. And also, like, you don't want to have an instance where, think about it like this, right? You have some casual, dumbass kid, okay? This really, really stupid-ass kid, but he spent, you know, his last 2 birthday money, 2 cents of birthday money on Genshin Impact. So he spent, like, let's say $300 on this game. Well, guess what happens whenever he loses in the Spiral Abyss after he just spent $300 fucking dollars? Well, this kid feels like he just wasted his fucking money. And he might not spend money next time. So that's why you don't let that happen. But yeah, that is the issue. Poor Boo Boo. Yeah, no, I'm being serious, guys. Like, y'all are laughing about this, but like, I'm not telling jokes, boys. Like, this is the way the game actually works. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd be mad too as a Genshin player. True. Yeah, bro, this game is meant for fucking. This is meant for girls. This is for 12-year-old girls. Like, what the fuck? You expect this game's gonna be like some kind of crazy ass? Oh my god, it's gonna be super hard. It's just not made for that. Like, this dude is right, and it's like, if I played the game, I will feel exactly the way that he feels. Like, I will feel 100% the way that he feels. But I know that's not the way the game's meant to be.